Welcome to RNN election coverage. I'm MJ.
Coming to you live, and I'm Snow.
With your nightly updates on election coverage. We just keep on counting.
It keeps going and going. Maybe we'll know by at least Monday or Tuesday.
Monday or Tuesday.
I wish we knew today. I wish we would have already known, but, you know, It takes time to count ballots.
It does take time to count.
Well, and some of the states have the laws where, I believe Arizona's one, where you just have to have your ballot postmarked by election day. So with the mail, with the post office still getting the ballots in.
Man, talk about procrastinating.
Right? I know. You would think, like, I turned mine in right away. I think I got it on a Friday, but I was out of town. So then I voted. I filled it all out on Sunday when I got back, and I put it in the mail on the following Monday. Like, I was like, okay, and ready to go.
I'm a procrastinator, but I put it in, like, I got the ballot mailed and filled it out, like, the day before Election Day, and then I put it right in the box at the county recorder's office, so it's, like, right there in the box, not, like, in the mail floating around
probably
somewhere.
should have done that, but I was like... I'm like, I really want to trust the mail system, you know?
Yeah.
But, and it did work, because, like, I did track it. So, it did say it was accepted and everything. You know how you can go on and check your ballot? Yeah. So, I felt confident.
I like at the county recorder's office, there's never anyone there to hassle you or anything. There's, like, one security guard guy, and that's it. And there's just a box, and you just...
They didn't have any of the oath keepers standing guard with their AR-15s?
No.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good to hear.
My coworker says that he saw two guys, like, security guards with guns there when he went and took it. But I didn't see any when I went, so I don't know.
Do you want to hear official audio from inside Maricopa County?
Yes.
That's one bat. Two bats.
Oh God, no.
3 fabulous flyers.
Is that the count from Sesame Street?
Oh, yeah.
He used to creep me out when I was a kid. He was the only Muppet I was afraid of. I was like, I would leave the room when he was on, and he creeped me out, and he scared me. He's like, oh.
Hey, we got one ballot.
One ballot.
Two ballots.
Yeah, he was so creepy when I was a kid.
It reminds me of some of the checkers at Walmart that scan the items, like, one slowly in the bag.
Because they've got all day, you know, they're like, I might as well be as slow as I can because I'm here for my 8 hours. And then, actually, I don't think they give them even full-time hours. I'm here for my 6 hours. And then they do it on purpose so they don't have to give them benefits. Walmart.
Yeah.
Yeah, they purposely do that so they don't have
grocery.
to.
I know that all too well. But I think with the voting stuff, they're just probably overwhelmed with mail-in ballots to count. Because I think I read that there's like 89% of Arizona votes by mail, and those are always the ones that get counted last.
And Arizona's always
overwhelmed.
had a huge majority of voting by mail. It's very convenient. I've done it since 2000.
Somebody did leave a message on our social media about the election. Okay. We hear it?
I do.
I don't believe anything Telemundo says.
Who?
Telemundo.
And this is what he thinks of the results.
It's sad.
It's sad. It's sad that my cult is starting to disband and I can't take advantage of these people anymore. That's what it translates to, right? I can't run my grift and suck money from these poor people, these poor saps who believe everything that comes out of my lying mouth, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I should have done that in Trump voice.
So,
damn it.
So, Kat, we didn't do a proper job introducing you.
Kat's back.
I'm back.
And Kat, we want to say officially from the RN Podcast Network that we are very proud of the job that you did
in our county.
In our county, in
with
our
your
state.
organizing effort.
Your organizing, yeah.
Your activism.
Don't think that you did not make a difference in helping get the vote out.
Right.
Thank you.
It's just this county. I mean, you still made a difference here, but it's like, this county is like trying to push a boulder up a hill.
Yeah.
If you looked at, I looked at our numbers, like, because I was like, I want to see if we're still technically considered the reddest county in Arizona. So my little fingers went a typing, and it pulled up the election results, and like, yes, for Senate alone, 74% went for Blake Masters here, the highest than any other county in Arizona.
Gross.
And like 24 something went for Mark Kelly.
And by
to
the
be part of that 24.
I know, right?
and by the way,
proud to be part of the fourth.
all of Mojave's ballots are not counted yet.
Really? Even ours?
We're not
Oh, wow.
100%. So we'll get into that in a minute. And I think though, the one that we're all still biting our nails and still on edge about is the Katie Hobbs Kari Lake race,
Yeah.
which is
yeah.
89%. But Katie Hobbs maintains her margin every single time, and we'll check that our live updates during this to see if it changes at all. But it looks good.
Yeah, and we probably won't know the results today.
No,
of that.
100%. No.
I just wish I knew when we'd know, because I hate wondering more than.
Well, but they have.
They're going to have to get all the way up
count
into the
ballots.
high 90% before.
Yeah.
Yeah, once
it's
that
like
close.
89 now.
Yeah.
But
It's going to be like the Boebert numbers, probably, before they called. Didn't Boebert's race? I mean, it's being recounted, but wasn't hers where they didn't call it till it was like 98% or something?
Yeah.
how close of a margin does it have to be for them to call a recount? Or
They don't call a recount in Arizona.
They
It's just
don't?
whoever. It
Oh,
depends
that
on the
varies
election
by
laws
state?
in this. Yeah, state by state.
I bet
So-
if someone loses, they're going to call for a recount either way.
So how
Kari Lake.
Yeah.
how are we feeling after that big red wave just washed all across all of us and washed all the liberals away?
All I'm going to say is, how do my liberal tears of joy taste to you guys?
It was so ironic that we got a rainstorm on election when the election results started coming in that night. We had that storm all night long, and I woke up and I'm like, hey, did the sound of those conservative tears keep you up last night's snow?
Right?
I think it goes to prove that I hope that one thing the Republicans learn from this is that
To not be so cocky?
that they if they continue to back the extremist MAGA zealots, that they're gonna
Right.
not fare as well as they hope, and
Right.
hopefully that makes.
Well,
them
right,
So-
because
speak out
in
against
Georgia, look
those
at what happened
people
in Georgia.
and back them.
Rathensberger, I always call him Rathensperger, but I know that's not right. And Brian Kemp, they still won. They kept their seats because they weren't, while they are Republicans, and I really wanted Stacey Abrams to win, but to beat Brian Kemp, but they were not election deniers. They were two of the people that said, no, you lost. I mean, matter of fact, Rathensberger, however you say his name, he's the one that Trump called that was like, you need to find me the 11,000 votes, right?
Yeah.
It was like 11,000 something. I didn't know if I had the number exactly right. Where you've got to find me the votes. And he's like, that's not the way things work.
I'm going to become a GOP strategist because I could have called this. You need to stop with the election denial, number one. Number two, and I said this back, Kat, the first time you were on the podcast, the Supreme Court making that decision to overturn Roe versus Wade at the time they did was the stupidest thing they could have done.
It was a gift handed on a satin pillow to the...
And I was talking to a conservative this morning, and he was just like, well, I guess everybody just likes the way things are. And I was just like, no, it's not that. It's not that people aren't concerned about immigration issues. It's not people are not concerned about the economy. But you put in these candidates with these extreme views, denying the election, being overtly racist, and the other thing is you don't have a plan other than Democrats are ruining America. There's no plan. Okay, you're going to fix the economy. How are you going to fix the economy?
Yeah.
Are the Republicans going to really stand up to the oil companies?
And sitting there saying, I guess people just like the way... First off, there's so many ways I can go with this. The Republicans are so fucking afraid of change.
Yeah.
Like, what are they talking about? And then two, when has any time in history been absolutely perfect where everybody was in love with everything? I'm sure even in the 50s there were troubles. My God.
But then
to sit there and say that is just, then it's like, or I could have been really funny and gone another way. Yeah, well, remember who the Hope Change guy was? So you're right. We should have change, correct? Hope and change.
Right, and then nothing really changed after Obama. Things didn't get crazy after that. Nobody's guns got taken away.
Yeah.
No.
That's always the fear-mongering thing that they use.
But guess what did get taken away? What they always say separates, like, what they always say, like, Democrats are, like, pro-choice, Republicans are pro-gun. Guess whose rights did get taken away, though? I mean, or they're on the chopping block. They haven't completely been gutted yet.
In some
Thankfully,
states
that
they have.
some right. In some states they have, but I mean, like on the federal level, and some states luckily pass laws to. I think Michigan was another one.
Michigan.
We could jump down to that too.
Do you know that? Do you know what five states passed the?
Had it earlier.
Abortion rights.
Michigan is one.
Kentucky was one.
Those were the two that had, I think, anti-abortion things that
wasn't California
downvoted.
One too?
And then California
to protect. California and Michigan's, I think, were to protect abortion rights.
Down earlier.
I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. It shows you the level of prep that we have on the show.
What about Oklahoma? I'm thinking that Oklahoma had one on the ballot. Probably what Kat was talking about.
No,
anti-one.
Doesn't Maryland, Washington, Connecticut, New Jersey already have laws in place that protect a woman's right to choose?
I think Maryland was definitely one. I think you're right about that.
Oh, Washington.
Okay, so Kentucky, Washington, Michigan.
Washington,
Maryland,
Montana,
that's right.
You mean the land of Yellowstone voted to
rejected an abortion measure that would have
because they were saying
even
penalties. In Montana.
And that even these states that lean very
that have no people.
Even those states are voting to keep abortion rights.
Even the states where their vote goes further because they have very little folks.
Now, when they say leave it up to the states, I would like to see that go on the ballot in every state, because I think every state would reject it.
That's one of the things that our group wants to do next is look into like getting that ballot in the next bunch of votes in 2 years. Like they had that petition going around that like if we had enough time we would have gotten it on the ballot, but the only problem was we ran out of time because it was like less than a month to get some absurd amount of signatures. But I guess with the amount we were getting in such a short period of time, like if we have more time to do it, we'll pretty much be guaranteed to get enough signatures to get it on the ballot within the next 2 years. And then hopefully if we get
20.
The right person on there for governor, then she could sign it into law.
Well, no, because but when hopefully baby Jesus when Hobbs wins, she'll be governor for 4 years, meaning in 2024, she will still be the governor.
Yeah, she'll be covered all the way.
So the next election will be, 2 years from now, and she'll still be governor by then, being if she wins, hopefully.
Yeah.
So
I have a good
I
feeling.
think that she's going to win. I mean, I really do. I
thought we were in real trouble. I mean, with this red wave thing, because I just thought people were going to be stupid and just look at gas prices. And
that's because of polling, though, and most people don't answer their phones.
Right, Cat.
When there's
Cat. You're younger. When you get an unknown call coming to your phone, do you answer it?
Nope, I don't know anyone in my age group or younger who does.
That's what they're saying. Right. They could not track the Zoomer. Are you considered a Zoomer?
No, millennial.
Millennial, okay.
Like right in the middle of millennial. I'm 34.
So yeah, they couldn't get a good read on the younger folks because the younger folks don't answer.
So that's what they base their polls.
They base.
Because I was seeing all this stuff and hearing from all these people about how they projected.
But I have a strategy. I think we should tell our listeners, don't answer your phone. We don't want the polls to be. This worked in our advantage by them thinking that there was going to be this huge red wave. Maybe that's what brought more of our people, more of the sane people, maybe more of the sane independents out to be like, I've got to try to fight the red wave at least.
Let them get complacent thinking that they're safe.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, Bill Maher had a great point where even the ones who maybe did take the phone call, hey, what's your biggest issue? And then you're thinking that, hey, I filled up my car today. I went to go get groceries. Yeah, it's the economy. But then when you actually go to vote, and he said, you look over at that flag, and it's our right to vote, our freedom to vote. Mm-hmm. That's what makes America great.
They shove that freedom stuff down our throats. I mean, we are supposed to believe in all these freedoms.
Not great again, but what makes us great is we have the power to choose our elected officials. And that could have really gone away with the election deniers. They were saying it openly.
Yeah.
Openly. That they would
they would
who was the guy in Michigan? I think it was Michigan.
Ours was the worst. The Fincham guy, he was like one of the worst ones.
Well, yeah, he went to January 6th, but there was a guy in Michigan that said, I believe it was Michigan, it was somewhere in the Midwest, that he said that if he won Secretary of State, that the Republicans would never lose an election again.
I don't know. It was either Michigan, Ohio, or Pennsylvania. One of those states. I know. I remember hearing that, but yes, I don't remember what state that was coming out of.
And I feel like even if you're a logical person, like even if you're a Republican, that should be a red flag. That
I think it was.
You should be able to stand up.
Like you're claiming you're already going to cheat,
even if it's something that's not your own opinion.
Yeah, and the ones who they're getting credit, but I don't think they're getting enough credit on say CNN or say on Fox when they're trying to analyze this. It's the younger voters that made a difference.
Yeah,
the younger voters, they're the ones who are most affected by the women's right to choose.
Yes, right now, at their age, they're like in family planning years.
And I am sure because younger voters tend to be more progressive. It's just the way it is. Mm-hmm. Younger people.
When they grow up, they get. Some people tend to go a little more conservative.
Yeah, but now more than ever, with LGBTQ and women's rights and rights to vote, and kids are more progressive. Okay, because they're sick of all the bullshit. And that's the generation that I think one or two elections from now, we're not going to have to worry about this shit.
I'd like to say, even if some of these young folks have parents who are more conservative, I got to hand it to their parents a little bit for raising good kids. I mean, it's like they actually raise decent people, even though they're like... So it's like, why would you want to get away from that? Like... What it seems like the old people are going bonkers.
I think the Generation Z has the advantage that they grew up with like the internet always being in their lives, and So they're a little more prone to being skeptical and like looking into things before just automatically believing it, and they're just like a lot more socially and politically conscious, whereas
without
the boomers and stuff, like the internet didn't come into their lives till a lot later, after they were past
like
that,
already old,
age of
I mean, like middle age,
their brain being adaptable to change. So they don't navigate fake news, and they don't have the skepticism that like the younger generation has as much with like things they see on the internet, and being socially connected in that way.
Right, and they're not on. Younger people are not on Facebook. Facebook has kind of become like our generation type of thing.
Did I just become a Zoomer then?
Yeah,
I mean, I'm a Gen Xer, but I'm like everything that you're telling me about the Zoomers. It's like I agree with all this stuff.
But here's my point. If my kids are interested in something, they will go on and they will research it on the internet.
Yeah,
they'll actually do it.
That's what I do too.
Well, but here it is that if you're older, you're watching one news source, okay, which is instilling on one side your fear. Well, on both sides do it. CNN is doing it over here on the left, where they're installing fear, like, oh, well, we'll never have free elections again. And then Fox is over here, like, well, the border is totally open. Everybody's pouring through with drugs. Your vote is being stolen.
Worst possible.
And all this.
No, it's also like there's coming over and registering to vote and voting. I'm like, what? I'm like, you actually believe that?
Yeah. When
do.
Okay.
Or what about that dude? That dude I had a conversation with. He's like, he literally started trying to tell me that he thought that his retirement was going to get taken from him and given to illegal immigrants. I'm like, how would that even work? Like, do you hear what you're saying?
Now, when I went to go check my ballot, I had to either enter in the last part, either my driver's license number or the last 4 digits of my social security number.
I think you have to do both.
So how do you check your vote?
Sorry about that. Technical difficulty.
How do you check your votes if you don't have that kind of shit to begin with? But the second thing with Facebook and the way Facebook is
you know what?
It leads into your beliefs. Like if you click on a news story about the borders are wide open, it's just going to give you more stories about the border is wide open.
I want to interject too, because on this, I was thinking about this today when I was driving back from getting my vaccines. We already have voter, because I saw another one of those damn voter ID, whatever the prop was.
Yeah,
vote for voter ID.
It looks like that's gonna.
It probably will pass,
passing by a small margin.
The thing that I thought about it was, I'm like, we get a voter ID card. You get a voter ID card.
They want you to have
after you have already registered. I'm like, how is what you get not good enough?
Well, they want a picture ID before you register to vote.
And you know how when you move
and watch what they're gonna do, which like here's my prediction. From now on, when they go to vote, then they're probably gonna come up with a new thing. When you register to vote, they're gonna have you pay to get a picture voter ID now. And then these people are going to complain about that, how then there's another expense. But look what they voted themselves into.
Or maybe they won't make it mandatory, and if you just don't do it, then you're SOL and you don't find out that you don't get to vote until you get to the ballot box, which is what they're hoping for, because then they win.
Yeah, they could do that too, but it's like, it's so crazy, because I'm like, we already have...
Yeah,
my point was, I'm like, we already have voter ID. We already have it. Like, why they're coming up with this ridiculous proposition? I'm like,
because
we
it
already
works more
have
in
that.
their favor, because people that don't, the people that
But I
don't
mean,
move
how are some of these people so stupid that they're falling for it? That's what I don't get. I'm like, you guys.
because they're brainwashed.
Yeah,
by the
yeah,
rules.
Oh my God.
because this is just like what's going on with Kari Lake, because Kari Lake
It
is
drives you nuts, though.
Kari Lake's already claiming fraud. She hasn't even lost yet, but she's claiming fraud. Now, if she wins, she won.
Well, she did that in her primary. Like, we knew this was going to happen. Remember? She kept saying they're cheating, and then she ends up winning. Oh, I guess they didn't cheat.
No, didn't she say something like, well, I would have won by more if it wasn't fraudulent?
Bitch, I didn't even like you really that much when you were a newscaster. Shut up.
But the main thing about like people that tend to not move around a lot tend to be older people that are, you know, set in their homes, and the younger people that move around a lot because of rent and various things, they're going to be the ones that are more greatly affected by the thing where your driver's license doesn't match your current address. So it's obvious they're trying to discourage a certain demographic of voters.
I get what the people in power are trying to do. What I don't understand is how the people, the average citizens, have gotten so stupid. I don't understand how they've gotten so stupid.
I can tell you.
I don't understand the process on how they got so dumb to fall for it.
I can tell you. Funding for education is why.
But it's like some things are common sense, though. Some things are like common sense would tell you, I already have a voter ID card. Like, mine's in my wallet. I carried mine in my wallet, you know, but in case
but
I ever decide to go back to voting.
But if you're undereducated, logic doesn't always play critical thinking.
No.
But the other thing about voter ID...
Why can't we teach common sense in school?
Voter ID, though. One thing about that is how it disproportionates lower income people. Is because in some of these rural areas, there's not a DMV nearby. You might not have a vehicle to get to a DMV.
Yeah, it's just another roadblock. Yeah, and it disproportionately affects a certain class and demographic of people.
It's the same thing that they do. How they've basically drawn the district here, where they call part of Kingman, because it's right in actual Kingman, but it's considered Butler or New Kingman, so that those folks cannot vote in city elections. They do it on purpose because that's typically not the whole entire area, but for the most part, that is a lower income area. Done it on purpose.
Yeah, well, that's the whole gerrymandering thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was reading.
They want to keep
an article on. So the Butler area actually has the lowest housing costs in the whole state of Arizona, apparently. In this article I read earlier, I thought that was kind of wild.
But can't you tell why?
I went off on a tangent because of people being poorer there.
Well,
in the whole state of Arizona?
That's what I was looking at something earlier.
Because there's some pretty other.
Yeah.
I mean, there's other poor areas.
There's an area, and I think it was in the Navajo Nation, that they're going to get because of the infrastructure plan that Biden passed. There's an area of the Navajo Nation, I believe, that is getting electricity for the first time.
Oh, I read that.
I believe it. I have been to the Navajo Nation. I believe it.
Maybe they might not factor that in since it's a sovereign nation. I don't know. I just know I saw it.
But like Graham County, that's down like God, I'm trying to think of one of the towns there. It's down in the southern part of the state. Very poor, very, very red. I think it's the county that's second reddest to Mojave.
Right.
It comes in second place.
All right. Yeah, I mean, again, that's a good question. So we won the Senate. We win the Senate, regardless of what happens in the runoff in Georgia.
I still
be
want
with the Senate.
Raphael Warnock.
Yeah,
to
well, you
win.
don't want Herschel
And
Walker in there.
I've already sent a donation to help out with the campaigning. I did it right when I found out there was a runoff. I'm like, here you go. I need it. This is like for whatever mailers you got to get out to people, whatever gas money, whatever. Here's I'm chipping in to do this again.
Yeah, because Manchin, he really is. He's just a Republican in Democrat clothing.
Mm-hmm. Well, so's Cinema too. So's our own.
But it could have been worse.
Yeah.
I think we were all stressed out about this election. I think Kat was still stressed out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm still a little stressed.
I'm not. I felt really
not
good
allowed
going
to celebrate until it's final.
Yeah,
That's just how my brain works.
I'm not partying, but
'Cause
I felt
desperately
pretty
hate
good
to
on
be
election day.
disappointed.
Honestly, I felt good going into it. I was like, you know what? If it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. I've already lined up my plan B.
Yeah, so
I have a plan B. So I'm like, but luckily I'm like, well, shoot, maybe I could change my mind and just move after retirement, but not move out of the whole United States. Maybe I could have a home base still in. It won't be in Kingman. I'm still planning on moving from Kingman, but it's not just the political stuff. We have a serious water issue here, and that's more that trumps. Hate to use that word, but that trumps any of the political stuff. Is the water is. Well, that's what scares me. That's what keeps me up at night. I'm like, we can't live without water.
Yeah, right.
I mean, the planet technically has a lot of water, but I mean, it's a little scarce in our area.
Yeah. I think everybody would agree with that.
Yeah.
Even our buddy Donald. I mean, he would say.
True.
Yeah.
Bigly true.
Bigly.
So, yeah, but still, I mean, New Mexico's not looking that bad. I haven't looked into their water issues. I know they are also fed by part of the Colorado, but there might be some areas. But I'd be willing because I am a desert dweller.
Well, Mark Kelly won Arizona.
Yay! Kudos to that. I had faith in him too. I was
Adrian Fontes.
Blake Masters
Yes.
looks too much like a psychopath. I mean, all of his he just looks like he looks like a serial killer. He looks like one.
Yeah, but that's
I'm not saying that he is,
that's the thing. He was another one that ran on.
Lunatic.
I'm not going to work with the Democrats on anything. He said that.
Yeah.
Democrats are evil.
Also, do you want to know who one of his heroes is? The Unibomber. I mean, he's a out there kind of guy.
What's his reasoning?
Because he's a libertarian.
What's his reasoning for thinking that that's
a lot of
positive
reasons
attribute to
I know.
tell?
A lot of the reasons that libertarians stick up for Ted Kaczynski was because Ted Kaczynski is an extremely smart guy. He is a genius on one hand.
Stable genius.
But he's also schizophrenic. I mean, he's
unstable genius.
Yeah. The reason what they liked about what Ted Kaczynski did, Ted Kaczynski was against technology. He purposely moved himself to a cabin like in remote Vermont and was against any form of technology. He thought that technology would be what would destroy the world.
Well,
but if you have schizophrenia,
he's not wrong.
Well, no, and there's things where he does have a point. He does have a point on some things, but that doesn't mean that you mail people package bombs.
Yeah, even
and kill them or blow their limbs off.
Right.
I mean,
twice a day or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, he just watched the Terminator too many times.
Even if you agree with.
He probably watched The Shining too much too. I mean, and was like, "That's what I need to do: move myself to isolation, live in a cabin, and go more nuts than I already am, you know?
I don't know. That seems to happen a lot out
I'm not
here.
going to talk too much shit. He could kick my ass at Jeopardy.
You know,
I mean,
you know those the people are like around here that scare me, and you'll notice a little inside joke is those people that live way out there and they isolate themselves.
well, you know, this area also, and a lot of libertarians also like
Oh yeah, we had a famous one.
Tim McVeigh because he went against the government, the Oklahoma City bomber. And he lived in Golden Valley for a little while.
Yeah, this area is
So
like
it's kind of a
breeding
gravitational
ground for
pull towards
militia nut jobs.
the nutties. Yeah, the
Have
militia
you seen
types.
that van or that RV with like?
Oh, it's
all
parked right
the-
down the street.
Oh,
It was
is
at,
now?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
It
parked
has
across
all
the train park.
like,
The
religious,
Revelation thing.
Yeah, that's.
I know. I
it's
drove-
always that
I
centennial
drove-
and-
I drove past it this morning to go run my
So
errands,
funny.
and right when I drove past it, I'm like, apparently someone is not familiar with the Sermon on the Mount, because what you've done with your entire RV and everything goes completely against the Sermon on the Mount.
I'm kind of curious what those people that own that are like, but also terrified to like actually find out.
I could guess what they're like,
From a
but I also would think
perspective.
just a hunch is like they're against socialism, but I'll bet they class disability.
I kind of wonder
They
if
have
they're-
to if they live in that, and I mean, how else would you get money?
I kind of wonder if they're the ones going around like doing all that crazy graffiti downtown about like Social Security's the mark of the beast. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
They're offering a reward for like whoever has information about who's doing that. Kind of wonder.
Then do you think that they're like, they park their van and then they go and hold up a sign and collect money? How is that not socialism too? You're asking people to help you, to collectively help you out,
I don't know.
which I don't have a problem with. I mean, with the people who stand up with signs though, I personally am of the belief, I think that our government should help them out. I mean, that's why we pay taxes, you know? So I don't like to see them out on the street freezing and hungry.
No.
I would like to see them in a homeless shelter and being
I
fed.
think a
But-
lot of that comes down to the mental health problem in this
Mhm.
country
Well,
too, because a lot of those people
That
are
too.
Very much.
mentally ill to the point that they can't even like go on their own. You know.
Well, that's a
to
problem
get
of
help.
Reaganism too. That's a problem of 40 years of Reaganism. He
Yeah.
closed the asylums, and he did. He closed the asylums and he turned them into prisons. So he sent
wow.
mentally ill people to prison instead of getting them the help they need.
Oh, I didn't know that. I'll
Yes.
just add that to the tally mark of things I don't like about Reagan.
Right.
Check
I
to
found a
one
lot of
another
this
on
out.
the
I
list.
went to my parents. Well, I was a child when Reagan was president, right? I believe I was like, well, by the time he became president, I was 5. So it was like 5 through 8 more years. 13 was when he left office or whatnot. So once I found out a lot of information about Reagan, I went to my mom and I go, Mom, why did you ever vote for this guy? Why would you ever vote for Ronald Reagan? And she goes, I didn't vote for him. You're going to need to talk to your dad about that one. She was like, I did not vote for Reagan.
That's
She's like,
funny.
I knew that he was,
Well,
like, I voted for
see,
Jimmy Carter
this is-
and then whoever
this is where I had an
Reagan ran
advantage growing
against
up.
later.
I grew up in Vermont during the Reagan age, and my mom worked for Bernie Sanders, his mayoral campaign.
Whoa, Bernie Sanders was around.
Yeah,
then?
yeah, he was.
He became the mayor
Yeah,
of
he was.
Vermont first.
He was the mayor of my
Mayor
hometown
of
in Burlington,
Burlington,
but then he
yeah.
became the
Oh,
governor,
wow.
and then he was a
I
congressman.
thought he became the mayor. I didn't think he was ever a governor. I thought
think
he was
he
the
was governor.
mayor, and then he went into the House, and then he became a senator.
Well, I thought you could be right.
I am a
House.
look at look at that over there, Michael.
Anyway,
I think
yeah,
I know.
I know. That's how we first bonded because we're both Bernie fans.
I love Bernie Sanders.
But
I'm not a Bernie bro.
But
I love him.
But my mom being working with Bernie Sanders is why I was turned off to Reagan during that prime time of Reaganism. Mm-hmm. And I was young,
But at
11.
least you were older than me, so you're more familiar with some of the Reagan stuff than I am, because I was a small
I
child.
lived through it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not wanting to make y'all feel old, but I'm pretty sure I wasn't born yet.
You weren't. I doubt you were. Were you born in the 80s at all?
88.
You were born when he was at the end of his office.
And maybe I was like one
Well,
or
he
two.
was president from 80 to 88 because he won both terms.
I was barely born then.
Yeah. He defeated Jimmy Carter.
And you had the same mental capacity as Reagan did when he left office.
Yeah.
No, seriously.
At least I had an excuse.
They knew that he was already in the early stages of dementia, and they still allowed him to be president.
Oh, wow.
My old union steward told me that. She goes, they should have never let him be president. They knew that he was losing his mind, and they still let him run the country. That's what she was most pissed off about.
Well, did he really run it, though?
Either way, she was making the point, you should never let someone like that have the nuke codes. Okay? Yeah. Be the president of the free world. He should have never been the president. But
Snow, he wouldn't have been able to remember the nuke codes, though. That was the point.
Right, true.
And, I don't think the last guy before this guy would be able to remember it, too. But he would have Don Jr. would be able to tell him what the nuke codes were.
One of the worst things that he did, though, in my opinion, was the whole Iran Contras. Like, I had no idea what any of that stuff was, because like I said, I would have been 5 years old at the time. In 1980, I would have been 5. And that's the election that he had won. He had defeated Jimmy Carter. But he did it by trading arms for hostages.
Oh, wow.
That's how he won his election.
How many conflicts we've had are basically just like
it's disgusting.
Just illegal arms dealing or whatever.
Yeah, that was what made me go to my mom and say, Mom,
for
why the fuck would you guys go for this? Why? Why would you do this? They're like, no, not me. Talk to your dad.
I didn't start to have any of my own political views until well into my 20s, to be honest.
See, I
think everyone starts
I didn't
somewhere,
until
right?
I moved here, honestly. Until I moved to Kingman, I was always registered and independent because I didn't like a lot on the Democratic side and I didn't like a lot on the Republican side. And I liked some things on the Republican side and I liked some things on the Democratic side.
I consider myself independent, philosophically.
I was registered like that forever. Yeah. Moving here, and it was when Obama was already president. It was during 2010, and I started seeing all these things around town about the guns, how Obama was coming for your guns and whatnot. And so I was like, well, I guess I can kind of see their point if they think they're going to get their guns taken away. So I'm like, let me do some research on this. So I typed into the computer, into Google search, I was like, is Obama going to take away people's guns? And the first thing it brought up, factcheck.org, the 10 myths that the NRA has put out there, and they dispelled each one. It was a very long article, and I read the whole entire thing because I was like, when I got through 3 of the articles, I go, bullet points, I go, oh my God, it all boils down to the color of his skin. That's why these people are behaving. These people are full of shit.
Yeah,
I'm like, they're full of shit. They're just racist. They're just racist. That's why they don't like this guy.
And
I'm like,
has too much
and then
pool.
Once I had done that, it was almost like I was hooked, and I'm like, let me see what else they might be lying about. And you just go down the rabbit hole, and I'm like, these people are honestly full of shit. They are moving here from Phoenix was like what pushed me more to be a progressive. Honestly, it's what did.
Well, we talk about growing up and when we got political, at least my mom was kind of a political junkie and still is to this day, more so than me. And so I was raised around it. So at a young age, I was very in tune to politics, and how it worked. My mom ran for selectman, which is what it was called in Vermont, but city council was the same idea. Mm-hmm. So being in tune to all this stuff, my mom was working for Bernie Sanders, and we were speaking about the Iran hostages. She took me, because there was one hostage from Burlington, and they did a homecoming that quite a few people came for, and I got to stand right next to the stage when Bernie Sanders gave a speech and, introduced this guy. Now, Bernie at the time looked more like Larry David.
Shake Bernie's hand. And Serena messed up the picture. I'm still mad at her for it.
But anyway, being more politically astute, at a young age and stuff like this. So, growing up in Vermont, and I lived in New Hampshire, lived outside of Boston. And then I moved to Kingman in 2011. 2012, the Boston Marathon bombing happens. Being from Boston, I used to go to the marathon with my dad all the time. Mm-hmm. We would go to the Red Sox game, and they timed it perfectly because the Red Sox game would start at 11 in the morning. The game would end just as the marathon was ending. So we would walk from Fenway Park over to basically the area where the bombing happened to watch the end of the marathon.
Right.
So when that happened, it really affected me because I'm like, oh, wow, I've done that so many times every year with my dad, walking to the finish line of the marathon. And I remember being at work at the time, and we had the news on. It was going on, and I'm trying to not be like, not let the customers know that it was affecting me as much as it was. And Obama came on. And I'm like, okay, let me hear what, hear what Obama says. And this old lady walked up to me, and this is my first taste of how it turned me off to this area. She goes, I don't believe a word that N-word says. And she says the N-word to me, and I was just like dumbfounded. Didn't know what to say. I was just like, I don't even know how to respond to you. Yeah. Other than every instinct blindsides you. Every instinct in me wanted to say, fuck off, get the fuck out of here. Yeah. Get your car out of here. But I couldn't, you know what I mean? But
and then it's like you feel like the odd one out. It's like backwards, where it's like we should be collectively condemning these racial slurs and racism, but when it blindsides you like that, you're just so thrown off.
Yeah, and
feel like
I have a funny one about this whole situation, this whole thing. Like, I remember being in Topok, because my ex at the time, we used to take his kids down to you could go right down to the Colorado River, and he liked to fish on the river. So we went to pick up some bait at the little Topok market, and they have a bumper sticker right on the front door, like right literally by the handle where you go to grab the handle to open the door, because they want everyone to read it. And it says, it's got a picture of Obama on there, of his face, and it says, #1 seller of guns in the United States. So I was like, as loud as I could, I said, then you would think that you people around here would give him some credit for at least that then. Because I was just like, and my ex at the time, he started busting up laughing like he couldn't believe I said it. But I'm like, no, I'm tired of these people. It's like they hate him, or now they're talking about this, and they're all gun nuts. And I've heard the whole thing of he's going to take our guns and all this stuff. I'm like,
one of the aspects
you guys are such big time fucking hypocrites. So I was
NRA's fear mongering so that it would boost their gun sales.
Exactly.
That's probably the whole angle to that.
And that's what's wrong.
And they just put it on their store as like to be a diss to him. You know that's what that was about. They didn't understand the economics behind it, like you just explained.
And even though Snow and I wrote one of the most controversial...
NRA probably knows that, too.
They do.
Snow and I wrote one of the most controversial things that has ever been published in the Kingman Daily Miner. And it wasn't anti-gun, but it was just about gun control, sensible gun control.
It was about, we're sick of your rhetoric, too.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to have to listen to your rhetoric, so we're flipping the switch and you're going to listen to ours then, you know, because we're going to give you back, like, all this stuff that you're trying to claim, we're going to give you back some statistics and stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's not, and quite honestly, like, we learned stuff from writing the article, too. I mean, we did. There was a couple things that we got wrong in the article that we learned
people corrected
on.
us, yeah.
Yeah. But it's like, it's not just one way or the other, you know, there is a middle ground for stuff like that. And that's really all the Democrats are asking for. It's sensible gun laws.
And I believe one of the things that we said was it's kind of sick how gun sales go up after a school shooting.
Yeah, it's gross. That is disgusting. Yeah. Like,
the
bodies aren't even cold yet. And you're already out there trying to, you know, you're out there making your money off of it. It's gross.
It was
exploiting the situation.
Yeah, it was to the point where I had to contact Facebook and get them to turn off the comment section because people were threatening to come to my work and deal with me.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I don't know that they actually would.
No, they probably wouldn't
here
have.
are like,
still, it's just the fact that that's what we.
The only thing they're gonna go storm
in society,
is
just
fucking
in general,
Golden Corral,
that
right?
If people have different opinions, that we want to enact violence upon them. You know, like that's the level that we're at.
But to bring this all back and get back on topic was the best thing that came out of that. Was one lady came up to us as we were going from the Railroad Park.
March of Our Lives.
Yeah, March of Our Lives. We were walking from Railroad Park over to City Hall.
The courthouse.
The courthouse.
Yeah.
The courthouse. Excuse me.
Because we had speakers that were kids and teachers.
One lady came up to us and said that by writing that, we inspired her husband to register to vote.
Oh,
for the first time ever.
Wow.
And he was like 50s or 60s.
It was 60s at least.
I started crying. Like, I got all verklempt. I'm like, that is the best. This made everything worth it. I couldn't even talk. I was like, this is the best news I've ever heard.
Right. So, to bring this back on topic is...
It was a good day.
Don't think that anything that you personally have done over the last few months hasn't gone unnoticed. And if you just reached one person in this election, just one, when it's going to be a razor thin.
You got people to register to vote.
Yeah, I know.
You should take that as a
several people that told me that they, weren't registered before, but that they were going to register so they could vote in this.
You should have got all the Clint and started crying too.
Yeah, so just one vote, and if you don't,
definitely is flattering.
And if you don't think that one vote doesn't matter, Biden only won by 11,000 votes in Arizona.
And look at how we don't know the results yet. I mean, the votes do matter because they come down to this where it's not a landslide, so they can't call it earlier. We have to count every ballot and make sure every ballot's counted because
that's what's great about the United States.
They're not winning by huge margins anymore.
I think if you consider just how red of a county this is compared to everywhere else in Arizona, that this is like pretty good progress for this area. Like just as many people that we had, mostly positive response from our rallies, people reacting, and I think if we could draw a highlight to that would be beneficial. 'Cause I know for a fact that like politicians and activist people in other parts of the state, like down in Phoenix is the main area where all the stuff happens, they kind of disregard our county as like a lost cause because they assume that it is just like so red that there's
but the votes are statewide
to be made. So
on a whole, we're not a lost cause. Like our specific seats.
Yeah,
like our state Senate seats or whatnot, like the like the district stuff, we kind of are a lost cause.
Yeah.
But like on a whole, like governorship and our
Senate.
Our Senate that goes to how do they say that Senate? It's not federal Senate seat, right? Or that's basically what it is, because it goes to those two go to Washington D.C.
Right.
They have it. They call them a different name, and I don't
know.
I apologize for that, but I don't think that I went to civics class.
No, I guess
teach myself
I guess
government.
every vote matters.
But I think that if we show that there is like an interest in these things here, and like bring attention to the politicians to come up here and maybe like speak, or do things interactive with this area, that it would bring out more people to get involved.
Yeah, they have come here
Yeah,
before.
yeah.
Like John Kerry came here.
That's one
when he ran against.
That's one of the goals that our group wants to do.
I think it was
all the right people get in. Like I want to try to get convince some of these politicians to come up here.
Well, do you remember?
We can, like,
some of them do, but those
aren't
really the ones. Mark Kelly came here. He came to the community college. I met him. I went to go listen to him speak.
He came, and I don't. How many people were even there? That was such a last minute thing.
No, let me tell you about that. That was really exciting. So when he came to the college, they had set up the room that they had us in. They had set up 100 seats. And they realized that before, he was still doing his tour of the campus. So what the folks there who were helping with the setup and everything that worked for the college, they're like, it's filling up really quick. They added 100 seats, and almost all of those were full, which is actually a good sign for a place like Kingman, Arizona.
So even on such a short notice, because I seriously didn't hear about that till it was already in the process of happening.
Yeah,
I was like at work, and
even then, they had to add more. They doubled the amount of chairs in there.
If we like promoted, like abortion rights advocacy, and partnered, like if our group partnered with like the Democrats and some other groups that shared the cause and could guarantee that we had like a large turnout.
What we need to do in our area what we need to do in our area is focus more on doing it by the issues. Like you're saying, you're talking about like doing like what our group is focusing on.
Yeah.
And then make it be like bipartisan efforts where it doesn't have to do with party. It's like, because there are Republicans. There are Republicans who are very pro-choice.
Yeah.
That they do not want to see the rights being taken away from women either.
And I need to find out who they are and like reach out to them for a collaborative
Now that
effort.
is the real chore to find out which ones are the loons and which ones are the
I think this election in particular is highlighting the fact that like the Republicans that are logical and not extremists need to speak out against the extremists, that they don't condone.
They do, or they're going to continue to lose.
Yeah, right now I think they're scared.
They've had 2 elections in a row that have shown them, like, get rid of your cancer, which is the orange monster. You need to get rid of him and get back to normal.
If we could, propose the idea to them that, hey, all these statistics are evidence that abortion rights is a bipartisan, like a nonpartisan issue that people are overwhelmingly in agreement on.
Abortion rights are healthcare rights.
If they stopped hiding behind their extremists and actually came out and said their stance, if they are pro-choice, then they would probably get better results, and maybe that would encourage them to be allies.
You need to probably try to find the ones then that aren't
diplomatic
ultra religious.
Yeah,
because religion plays a huge factor in why they think that way too.
We actually even were at our meeting earlier today where we were talking about there's one religious. There's a pastor downtown at like I think the Methodist Church or something, and he's pretty progressive minded.
Oh, I know who you're talking. Father Ben.
Yeah, Father Ben. He's been on the podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Father Ben.
At some point, we want to like see if he would come do a presentation.
I think he might be Episcopalian. Episcopalian church.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because they're probably not Pentecostal. Those people are
right. I know. I got it. No, I got it mixed up. I was like, it's Episcopalian. He's Episcopalian.
But like,
because they're more mild.
Even those people would be good to have as allies, because then that sends a clear message to other religious people that are somewhere in the middle of the spectrum, that are kind of afraid to, go out and speak out against their chosen group for fear of being ostracized, that there are people that think like them, and it would give them the courage to come out and be like, oh, well, I'm pro-choice too, and let's, because I think with the religious people and the Republicans, there's so many of them that are like so afraid to speak out against those.
Well, some of these religious people need science. I hate to say it, but it's like they need science to realize that
we need to like encourage the ones that are, in the logical realm to speak out against the extremists, because we're realizing that really not everyone's extremist. They're just the loudest and most vocal.
Right. We always need that. We always need to combat extremism in any form. Go ahead, MJ.
I want to get back to a point of having people talk here. I was trying to get anybody's attention here. But me and a certain person at the airport almost got Beto O'Rourke when he was still in the race during the last presidential election, when he was still in it. I think the reason why he didn't was because he had dropped out before we had the chance to. But we were in touch with Beto O'Rourke's campaign. He said, how many people do you think you can get? And I said, I think we can get about this many people. He goes, okay. And he was going from Las Vegas to Phoenix to speak in a private plane. And he was just like, okay, yeah, well, I could touch down. And we had a place at the airport all set up.
Like I've already said, John Kerry came
where
here.
he could his campaign was willing to stop here, get off the plane, give a speech, and hop back on the plane and go to Phoenix. So it is possible. Yeah. You just have to reach out to the campaigns and have those numbers.
For the third time. Seriously, John Kerry was here. He spoke down right in front of the train.
Yeah,
right in the heart of downtown. They blocked off the road. John Kerry came and spoke here when he was running against W.
Nice.
Yeah.
Swear to God.
And I worked for John Kerry's campaign.
See? There you go.
But yeah, I think
so
that's one of the goals. And then even like just trying to reach out to even, like the local politicians. Like it would be nice to find the Republicans that are pro-choice, because I feel like they're kind of like an integral piece to the puzzle that we need. It's just a matter of getting them to have the courage to speak out against their.
Well, the problem here is there's a lot of them. I don't know if they'd admit it. I don't know if they'd admit it, but there's a lot of them.
Like if we could encourage them, but. It's like what speaks to them is the votes, because that's what keeps them in power.
Because you have to find the ones that aren't the church-going folks.
But so if we could,
the church ones aren't going to. Yeah. They're not going to, even if they're pro-choice and they vote that way on their ballot, they will never admit it out loud. If that's what you're looking for, if you're just looking for to try to get them to at least vote sensibly on certain issues. Because voting is private. I mean,
whatever the case, I feel like if we are able to show them that they could gain votes by or lose votes depending on their stance on the abortion topic, that would sway them to have the confidence to speak out.
Well, the problem with like the religious aspect of it, though,
I'm just saying Republicans in general. I'm not really differentiating.
Well, but the religious problem is a part of it, because in Georgia, Warnock is a minister in Georgia, but they still chose Herschel Walker, who paid for abortions, over Warnock. I mean, Warnock got more votes, but still going to a runoff.
Let me just say,
let
me just tell you a personal story of how the religious aspect is a huge, huge part of it. My family on my mom's side is totally majority Democratic. My mom will always make a joke that her brothers lost their way and changed parties and became Republicans. But they come from FDR Democrats. They were all farmers. In Kansas, also being in Kansas. Okay, Kansas, I was so proud of Kansas when the primaries rolled around, though, because literally every mile you drive in the state of Kansas, there is an anti-abortion billboard up in that state. They are very Bible Belt.
Sounds like Missouri.
When I was in, it's a whole area there, yes. When I was in, right out of high school, I remember driving in downtown Phoenix and past one of the Planned Parenthoods, and they were out protesting. And I made the comment in my car with my mother, and I said, why don't these people get a life and leave these women alone and stop doing this? I thought my mom was going to stop the car and have it out with me. And like I said, my mom is very Democratic, but she's like, you don't know what you're talking about. And it's wrong what they're doing, Sarah. They are murdering babies.
Oh, God.
And she is, like I said, very Democratic. But it's religion. My family's also very religious from Kansas. There are some Democrats who are very much against abortion. That's what I'm trying to explain to you, though, is you have to, if you're going to reach
there are also religious people who are pro-choice.
But if you're
overlaps, but
if you're a strict religion,
that are also religious probably are anti-choice.
Right. The point I'm trying to make, though, is if you're that's what I'm trying to tell you, though. If you're one of the extreme religions, it's not going to work. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You've got to reach the Republicans who aren't religious folks.
That's kind of
if they're religious, they're not like. They still are
really, questioning
now
that.
Let me say, to be fair to my mother, she has come a little bit of a way, because the first thing I brought up to her is, I go, Mom, I just don't understand. I go, I hear news reports where people murder abortion doctors, and how is that okay? For these people are sitting out there saying that they don't want babies to be murdered, but they're murdering someone who is already here, that hasn't even been born yet. They murder doctors. It has happened before.
Yeah.
And then I also said, what about if a woman's raped? Why should she have to carry? And do you know what my mother's response was at this time? She has changed her stance since. That's why I'm I don't want to completely bag on my mom, but her response then to me was, she believed that rhetoric of, when a woman is raped, it's very hard for her to become pregnant. She believed that, but she believed it because of the way that she was raised, being a farm girl from Kansas.
Propaganda and
basically being like Dorothy, Wizard of Oz.
It's the basis of that. What you're saying is she did eventually change her mind on some stuff. It is possible to change
to this day,
minds.
This happened before I was even 20 years old.
Yeah.
I think I was either 18 or 19 when this whole situation happened. I still to this day am very uncomfortable talking to my mom about the abortion issue, because we agree on everything. We agree on almost everything. On some issues, my mom is far more fucking left than I am. And like I said, I'm a Bernie person. But I try to steer clear of it because I did make a comment because of what happened with Roe, and she made a comment saying that she's basically letting me know that she's come a little bit from where she was before. But I'm like, I'm not here to tell you how to believe anyways. You know, like if you believe that, then you believe that. You know, she's one of those people who was always like, if they don't want to have an abortion, they can give their baby up for adoption. I'm like, it's not your place to say, though.
Pregnancy is just a walk in the park, and that women don't like literally die from that.
I
have all kinds.
Not
of
even getting into
problems.
all that. I'm a person where I've told because my dad is like
easy.
my dad's pretty much pro-choice, but he's like, well, I don't like it when when I'm hearing about these women who use it as a form of birth control. And I personally have told my father, and I know that I probably will get shit for saying this, I don't care. It's none of my business. I'm
That's
like,
where I'm
my
at
thing,
with it.
my thing
That's a
is,
common thing.
well, my biggest
to
thing
happen.
is, okay, cool. My biggest thing is, let me just finish this real quick, this last talking point. My thing is like, if somebody is telling you that they don't want to have a baby, I think we should listen to them. I don't think there's reason to bring an unwanted life in
who's not ready to
planet.
have a baby.
Yes,
forced to bring life into the world.
That's how I believe, and I also believe that it's none of my business. It's none of my business what anyone else decides to do. Like, I was told when I was 19 that I was never allowed to have children. I can't. I never could have children. Do you know what the worst part of it was? My whole experience, I always thought that I was going to have kids. The worst part was I didn't get a fucking choice. I didn't get to. I did not get to make the decision. That was the worst part. So I'm like, I am never going to tell anyone else what to do. You don't have the right to do that. And people don't get my perspective. I'm sure there's a lot of people who think, well, then shouldn't you be for people giving their baby up for adoption? No. I had to sit in an office across from a man, and I kept arguing with him. I kept saying, so you're telling me, so you're telling me I can't have babies. And he said, that's not what I'm telling you. You can totally have a baby. You need an egg donation. And I go, oh, wow. So I laughed and I go, so you're telling me that I cannot have babies.
Yeah.
And he did not, he goes, what do you not, he got pissed at me and he's like, what do you not understand about this? And I go, what do you not understand about this? It won't be any of my DNA. It won't be my genes. I don't understand how you don't get this.
It's like he's trying to let you down easy or something.
Yeah, he's like, it's going to, if you got an egg donation, it would get fertilized and it would grow inside of you and you would still give birth. I'm like, but it's not part of me. You don't get this. You don't get this because you're a man telling me this. You don't understand any of what I'm telling you. But it's like, that was the part that pissed me off the most about today. I'm glad. I'm happy that I because the planet's in trouble and I like traveling.
It's, nice
it's like selfish,
to
but
feel that choice taken
from
you.
That was the worst part. I'm like, I should have been able to decide.
And
I didn't want to have kids.
I'm child-free by choice, and I actually had the surgery last year to get sterilized, but I really feel for women that...
I've had that too. I had a hysterectomy.
Either way,
I had a hysterectomy, and you know what? The day that I had a hysterectomy was one of the best days because I got to decide.
Yeah, that's
I
how
felt
I
like
felt.
I finally had a decision.
Everyone was always asking like why my husband didn't get it done, and it basically came down to the insurance covered it more for me, which is really odd, but in hindsight, I'm really glad I was the one that did it because I like that it's my, under my control and the finality of it and the fact that it was completely my choice and my body,
Right.
And then
I feel you, sister. I feel you.
Especially with all this uncertainty of stuff going on.
Yeah. Okay,
we have
so
a,
you
we have a,
wanted
we have a
breaking news.
breaking news update.
Now that we've got past the emotional stuff.
We're now 93% in, and
Okay.
it is 50.5% to 49.5%. 49.5%. Hobbs is still leading. Now, the lead is it's getting closer,
Okay.
but the margin though it's getting thinner though. There's only 7% left. So if she can maintain that 1%, so I think she closed. Let's see. It was at 89%.
This is so nerve-wracking. I
So
hate it.
4% more came in.
I'm having the faith.
I don't think that she. I mean, we don't know. We can't call this yet.
Yeah.
I know, but I'm
But
keeping the
it's-
faith. I'm
it's
going to keep
close.
the faith for all
And-
of us.
Again,
It's just
you know,
like, I don't
You guys-
I don't like to speculate because I think the worst
Yeah.
feeling in the world is getting your hopes up to have them,
Your
taken from you.
crash.
So I don't make any speculations till stuff is final.
well, hopefully
Just
tomorrow
let's
we'll
even-
know.
Even
whole
so,
life's
though,
mantra.
even if it does happen that we don't, the way that in which we don't want, we need to take great pride in the fact that we won the Senate. We
Right.
won, and Adrian Fontes won, which that one was a really
Right.
scary race
Because the election
his
denier,
opponent was a lunatic.
who was there on January
So,
6th.
Lake
We
is-
should be-
Lake is
we should
quite
be
a
very,
lunatic,
very,
too.
very
I know,
happy.
it's kind of, where
Well,
are the votes left to be counted? It doesn't
Mostly
say.
in Maricopa County.
Well, that's a good sign.
I thought you said that the other day too.
It is, but Maricopa is
our
by
biggest
far the
county.
largest.
It's where Phoenix is.
Yeah.
So
How many are left to
it's
count
the
here?
entire look. It's the entire greater Phoenix area. So
Yeah.
It's-
hopefully
yeah.
Scottsdale's already been counted up because that's Scottsdale's a redder area.
Here,
But
how many are
hopefully-
left to
and
count?
Scottsdale's already been counted.
Hopefully there's more in Tucson too.
Okay, Tucson's Pima.
Yeah,
Pima
but yeah,
County.
Pima leans
Okay.
blue.
No, I know, but you said it's mostly Maricopa, but
Mostly Maricopa.
Pima's still counting too.
Pima's still counting.
Then I have the faith. I have the faith.
What
I think
about
we're
our
red.
county? Where are we at with
Well,
the
we're
percentages?
very
We're
high.
red. We're the reddest
I mean,
county.
how much is left to count for our
do
county?
you still have what I sent you the other day up?
What?
Where it goes percentages by county. I want to get back
look
for
it
just
up.
a second.
We should be wearing the khakis,
No,
the
no,
blue shirts,
no,
and the ties.
no, why
just
would-
like on Stewart's
No,
show.
I have a story.
Should have worn that.
We're talking about abortion doctors getting murdered. Okay, just
Right.
a few minutes ago, and I have a story. Back in 1994, I was living in New Hampshire.
That was
And-
when my story happened.
Oh, yeah, okay, but this
Just quinky dink.
coincidence, yeah.
Okay.
But I was managing a Jiffy Lube type place in Seabrook, New Hampshire. And we had this guy come in this shitty Toyota pickup. And the guy tried to drive into the building. Like well, the doors were open. You know, it's quick lube where you work on the cars. You know, you can drive the car in. But we didn't allow customers to drive the car in because if the customer fucks up, they could just drive into the hole that's in the floor.
Right.
So anyways, this guy tries to drive in, and I'm already like, hey, would you stop? And the guy wouldn't stop. And you can't be in the working area either. Okay, where we work on the cars, you have to sit in the waiting room, and we had like this big window where you could watch us. But this guy
Yeah,
kept,
like at Q-Lube.
this guy kept on walking out. And I'd be like, I was the manager. I was like, sir, you have to go back in there. And he kept on walking out. I'm like, look, I can't tell you again.
Stay in the
You
waiting
can't stay in the
room.
waiting room. Well, one of my technicians, because, you know, you're changing the oil, you're checking the tire pressure, you're washing the windows, and he calls me around to the back of the truck. And on the back of his truck, there was a picture of an aborted fetus on the back. And I'm like, this is disgusting. And the guy came out. The guy came out again. And I'm just like, I am going to kick you out of here because once
And it was
I
probably fake.
no, it was a real picture. This guy was a lunatic. The next day, okay, this guy's name was John Salvi. I went back and looked at the records. In Brookline, Massachusetts, he went to an abortion clinic and he shot two of the workers.
Oh,
Shot and
wow.
killed two of the workers.
Oh, wow.
Now, this is a big story because I'm being from Boston. Now, I didn't put two and two together at the time. But a few days later, he was caught, and I think it was Virginia. And I'm watching Tom Brokaw was the host of the nightly news at the time.
A real newscaster.
And they show the scene of where they caught him during a traffic stop, and they showed the truck with the picture of the aborted fetus.
Oh, and that's when it clicked.
No, it clicked, and I was like, oh my God. But here I am, I'm like antagonizing the guy, like, get back in there, you know, knowing that he shot 2 workers the next day. The good news, again, the guy's name was John Salvi. He was a piece of crap, but he went to prison, and I think before his trial, prison justice took over.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Like Jeffrey Dahmer style.
He never made a trial.
Okay. Yeah.
So, I mean, that was my story with running into one of these lunatics.
That's nuts.
But it did fuck me up because I was just like, wow, that guy had a gun and he was perfectly fine with killing people. I'm surprised he didn't have.
Like he might have.
I feel like you could have been the first
Could have been number one.
shooting spree or whatnot. Yeah.
That link you sent me about like the different statistics for the different counties, it won't let me access it because I don't pay for the New York Times.
Oh.
Damn you, New York Times.
I don't subscribe to it, so I can't look at it. Lame.
So right now in the House, we're leading, I think it's 212 to 204. And we were talking about earlier before we started recording why that's important.
No, but you said we weren't leading, right?
No, we're not leading.
Okay.
Okay? It's
The
212
Republicans
to 204. Republicans are leading. It's not called yet.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason why that's important and you want to keep that number close is when you go to pass laws, if you do get the sane Republicans, they might, jump ship from the Republicans and go over to...
Yeah, it has something in order to do with the majority needed in order for the votes, right? Kind of like the Senate.
Right.
Where, to totally pass something with flying colors in the Senate, don't you need like the 60 vote?
No, you need...
Unless you could bust up the filibuster.
No, in the House, it's just whoever gets the most votes.
Oh, so the House doesn't operate the same way like the Senate.
But that's why you want to keep it close. But where that's dangerous, too, is because you're going to have the Freedom Caucus and the Marjorie Taylor Greens.
Well, and what they're saying, too, if they don't clean house in the House, then they might not vote for Kevin McCarthy, who is an idiot. They might vote for a saner Republican to run the House versus Kevin McCarthy, right?
And Kevin McCarthy, though, I did not know he's from Bakersfield.
Yes, he is. He represents Bakersfield and Lancaster.
Which one of the big issues of these midterms was crime. Now, who do you think out of Bakersfield, California, per capita in San Francisco has a higher crime rate?
I'm going to go with Bakersfield.
Correct.
Yeah. Like, Bakersfield is a little sketchy. Remember, we stayed at that nice hotel, but remember when I was reading reviews, I go, dude, we got to just pony up and go for the little, this boutique hotel, because I'm like, MJ, all the other hotels are disgusting. All of them are saying there's sketchy people or bed bugs.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
So we had to stay in a haunted hotel.
That hotel was awesome.
It was awesome because we got to hang out and drink with Jim Jefferies.
Yeah. And to couples for that hotel, me and MJ are like besties, but couples, you ever in Bakersfield, they have the shower thing where you can...
Yeah.
Remember the shower in the room? You can pull the curtain and...
Glass window to the shower from the outside.
Glass window that goes... you have a curtain so it'll cover it up in the bedroom part of it.
Dinner
but you can watch... Yes. Yeah, you can do total flash dance stuff in there.
But with Snow and I, it was a little awkward.
Yeah. We kept the curtain closed, but you could do something, a little something special. no, and it's a really nice hotel, and they have like great food. Like we should promote. It's the Padre. We stayed at the Padre. So the Padre, if you're listening, we love your hotel.
Yeah, that little girl's handprint in the paint was a little creepy though.
Yeah.
And we'd gone there to see the comedian Jim Jefferies, he's Australian and very very progressive comedian.
Mm-hmm. Very liberal.
And we were disappointed because he didn't do a meet and greet afterwards. So Snow and I go bar hopping because the show got out kind of early, and we're
and we had planned on going bar hopping.
Yeah,
because it's a cute downtown area.
Yeah, it's very much like our downtown area. But you had an Irish bar, then we had there was dance music, and then there was another kind of bar too. But then we were getting hungry, and we're like,
no, and also we went to the Irish bar, and I expected them to be playing like the Dropkick Murphys. When we went in, they were playing Britney Spears. No disrespect, but I'm like, this is not anything near authentic. Irish music. I mean, my God, she might be part Irish. I don't know that.
Right, but,
so we went back to our hotel.
Yeah, much like our downtown, the place is closed early, so we were getting hungry, and we're like, well, you know what? The food at the hotel bar looked pretty good, so let's just go back there, get some appetizers, and we're sitting at the bar. Appetizers, we're like, bummer, we didn't get to, have a meet and greet with Jim Jefferies, and we hear this Australian accent behind us. And I turn to Snow, I'm going, that sounds just like, and we both look over our shoulder, and there's Jim Jefferies with the opening comedian and his manager sitting at the table behind us.
Oh, nice.
So we go up and we say, hey, can we buy you a beer? And he was already drunk. He's like, sure.
I get a picture, too.
Yeah.
We got our pictures taken.
Aw.
And we sat there. We had a couple drinks with him. And
then he goes like this. He's like, do you have a cigarette?
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, why don't we smoke? So we had we would have been able to go out and smoke with him, but we didn't. So he went out and smoked.
Can I stand in your cigarette smoke and bathe in your essence? No. Like a little fangirl.
But we hung out with him for a little while because he proceeded to get more drunk, and then the sixth floor of this hotel was supposed to be haunted because there was a fire there and there was a family that died, and they said if you go up to the sixth floor, it gets, if you stand outside the room, that you can feel the temperature get colder. And Snow and I have had a few drinks at this point, like, hey, let's go check that out. And
I didn't notice the difference.
No, we didn't notice the difference, but we're trying to get Jim, because we're telling Jim Jefferies a story about it, and he's just like, no, man, I don't want to go up there.
Placebo effect is a powerful thing. It looks like with the Attorney General one, that one's pretty close too. Mays is 50.2%, and Hamadeh, or however you say his name, is like 49.8%.
Oh, that Abe?
Yeah.
Hamadesh or Hamad? Yeah.
Yeah, from what I've read, he's like a...
Hamana, Namana, I hope you don't win I hope it's
anti-choice person too, so fingers crossed.
No, it looks good. I mean, hopefully we'll close it out.
Do we have more topics to discuss?
And we'll just show Kat the pictures. Yeah, we'll but that was
blonde hair.
Oh
yeah, that's me,
but
Jim.
You could tell he was hammered.
Yeah, he looks like it. 3 sheets to the wind.
Anyway, so hopefully, we have a chance at the house still.
Yeah, but we're not.
It's not over.
It's not over till the fat lady sings, right?
Yeah.
I'm just really hoping at least we get governor.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's the big. That's the last big ticket, for Arizona.
I guess we'll know tomorrow. So where do you go from here? What's next? Because I'm sure you're not going to give up on this issue.
Yeah, we were talking about, depending on what politicians get in, we want to look into what it would take to try to codify Roe versus Wade into on a state level.
How
Probably
about if your
petitions and stuff.
Too,
look into
your group and petitions, and I promised myself, and I already talked to MJ about this, about doing more research on this too. If you look at what happened in Michigan in 2018, they put an effort in to get rid of gerrymandering. So that's how they were able to regain control of the House that had been lost for 40 years due to gerrymandering. And it's done through like a grassroots effort. And I'm like, every state needs to be doing this.
Yeah.
Because I'm already thinking ahead to like the next election. I'm like, I can imagine like our messaging could be so much better. Make sure your vote counts. Like, because gerrymandering does not allow for people's votes to count, no matter who you vote for, no matter if you're Republican or Democrat. You know, this should be a thing where we should try this grassroots effort. Sorry. My mind goes faster sometimes than my mouth, which is surprising because I'm a pretty fast talker. But to try to get this grassroots effort going in each state, which I'm going to try to look into it. I've been waiting till the elections to finally be over with before I can start my research on this. But
Yeah.
I also wanted to reach out to like Jem because I feel like she would probably know a little bit more about this too. But wouldn't that be great? Michigan did that. They got it on their ballot. They voted for it. It passed to get rid of the gerrymandering, and where
that's great.
basically our votes are going to count more if we can eliminate that.
Yeah.
And it's something that we can get, like you do the petition things to get it put on the ballot, and then because that's one of the things that's like that, and like Citizens United. And if you look, and then like when all this happened, it opened more doors in my mind. I'm like, that is another one. That is another thing where Republicans have this great messaging that does not mean what you think it means. Citizens United. You would think that that meant, hell yes, the citizens are united together. But it simply means that corporations and rich people are allowed to buy elections.
Yeah, that's
and
bullshit.
Politicians. And they consider it free speech. But they come up with these crafty names.
The dirty money, or the one petition that was, or the ballot that was on there, and it on the Arizona, and it passed to like make more transparency about where
in our
money
elections
comes from in the elections and campaigning.
Yeah.
I think that was like the dirty money petition or whatever that was going around.
We would have
that
voted for that
passed.
too then, because
Yeah.
we went through all the
So that's,
we voted together, like we went through our ballot book.
That passed with like 70% of people voting for it.
See, so that's why
So
I'm
that's
saying
progress.
if we start doing this, I had never heard of a grassroots effort to combat gerrymandering, but I'm like, everyone, Michigan needs to help all the other states. Michigan,
figure out how to do
I love
it.
you.
Look
Where
up
are
their,
you?
like format of what they did.
Yes, and they should be interested in helping other states get this done.
Yeah.
I think also California's done it too.
Yeah, well,
So it's more people power. And there's another great campaign slogan that we could do. We could put people power.
Yeah.
You know, vote for this proposition, whatever it's going to end up
Power
being,
to the
prop
people.
whatever.
yeah. And if people don't know what gerrymandering is, to around this area, to explain it.
Yeah.
Basically what you could do is you could take a very democratic section of, say, Phoenix, okay?
And draw like a big
And draw
FU through
yeah,
it.
you could draw
Big middle finger.
Technically, you could draw that district
Just a sliver.
a sliver to come all the way up to Mojave County and include Mojave County in that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, for those who don't know what
Grasp the concept.
That's why we need to get it on the ballot, though, in all of the states as a whole state issue. Because, look, it's not going to change our local elections, and that's just fine. You know, that's just fine. Like we have a lot of Republicans who live here because we are rural, and fine, you can keep our city elections and whatnot the way in which you want. But on the state level, I don't want to be gerrymandered in where a person like me, who's an outsider, so Republicans take notice. If you're living down in the valley and you feel like an outsider now, you should be on board for it too. We all want our votes to count.
Yeah.
So at least if they count on a state level, we wouldn't feel so defeated.
Yeah.
You know? Because of the redrawing of the maps. So just it's something that I'm gonna work on. It's probably one of the things that have perked my ears up in a long time, where it's like, okay, so right when I heard it was grassroots, I'm like, that means that we can actually, and we are the ones that would have to do this, you know, a collective group of people doing this. So I'm gonna look into it more. Hopefully we can maybe do a whole episode of our podcast on it after the election's over, and we can get more research done on it, and we can have you come back on, and we can maybe have Jem come on and talk about it, because I know she's a person that's heavily involved in like Indivisible, which is also a grassroots effort that helps with certain other issues, or any of our other friends, honestly, that are deeply involved in it.
And getting back to that, though, two things. I got into a debate with somebody on Facebook where they said, well, all Republicans won't change and they're just going to vote for hate. And I was just like, we can't think like that.
Yeah, I don't think that
and
that's
it's not true.
Yeah. No, it's absolutely not true. But you can't have that closed mindset to our Democrat friends that all Republicans, just because they voted for Kari Lake, they voted for her because they're concerned about border security. Mm-hmm. And they're concerned about inflation, and they don't really do the research because they're trapped in their own Facebook pages, and they're trapped onto the news stations that they watch. That they're still counting votes in every single state. They focus on Arizona as being corrupt because we're still counting votes, but there's still being votes counted in every single state.
Issue, yeah.
Okay, but the point being is they don't look at the messaging like, yeah, we're concerned about inflation. All of us are concerned, but we don't like paying higher gas prices, higher grocery prices. But
nobody does.
The issues that matter to us was, are our votes going to count in the next election?
Yeah, I think some people are short-sighted, and the economy is kind of like one of those deflective things that's short-sighted and not even necessarily controlled by what they think it's controlled by.
The economy and inflation, like the tides, they ebb and flow. I mean, it's a natural thing.
Is a long-term goal.
Voting rights, women's rights.
Yeah, those are
you know
higher.
Who understood this? The Zoomers.
And that's why they came out and vote. But what the people concerned about inflation don't get, and they don't look at this statistic, is year to date, Exxon's profits are $49 billion compared to $22 billion at this time last year.
They are. I was going to say they are raping us, but I don't know if that's politically correct.
But Republicans did not have a clear plan on what they were going to do to combat inflation. They didn't. They just said the Democrats are destroying America.
Because they're not going to. Do you think they're going to go up against the oil oligarchs?
No.
Fuck no. Who's going to give them money for their campaigns?
But how do you get past social media and they're only paying attention to one news source? How do you get that message to the common person who's worried about
you have to, as an individual, sit down with other individuals and have the difficult conversations and try to meet them where they're at and, get through to them in that way. Like, I have a friend who's...
It is price gouging.
I have a friend who's Republican, but she's also pro-choice, and we don't tend to talk a lot on politics because she has a lot of different views on other things. But I told her that my reasoning for voting Democrat this time around is because I feel like the reproductive rights are the issue like at most risk right now. If I felt like gun rights and the things that Republicans say, use on their platform was actually something that was in risk of being taken or whatever, then I would probably change my mindset. But right now at this moment, the reproductive rights has the highest sense of urgency to me because we're already seeing examples of that literally being stripped from us. So it's not even a question of if that's something that might happen. It's already happening. So unlike gun right, there's no evidence to state that that's even in effect right now, and it's just fear mongering. And I was able to get through to her on that level, and that's probably the only time that she's actually sat back and was like, that's a good point. I get it.
Yeah. Well,
the reproductive issue has shown
those are the
women
conversations that you need to have with people that don't necessarily agree with you all the time.
Right. It's like any woman alive right now, the reproductive whole situation has shown you that there are powers that be that believe that we are basically second-class citizens, and it's
yeah. Well, did you hear?
No, we already fought for things, and we made progress. You're not going to treat us like this. You're not. If I was an able-bodied, fertile woman, like seriously, so you're allowed to deposit whatever. Like I have to go back and I have to like really explain it in graphic terms, but it's like women did not even ask for it. What are you talking about? They had no control over what that part, rather than just saying no, and sometimes that doesn't even work in the case of rape or incest. It's like, no, you don't get to tell women what to do. That is the bottom line.
Did you hear?
We are people too.
And this is the good conservative thing. Did you hear what that guy Waters said on Fox News, who does that show Waters World? He was complaining that most single women vote for Democrats.
Oh, I think I saw a thing.
Yeah.
Oh, the one that was like, somebody needs to start going out and marrying these women.
You need to put a ring on that finger so they stop voting for Democrats. That really happened.
What's reality and what's satire anymore?
No, that really happened.
Like I said, do they want me to come up with my legal thing? Because when this whole thing first started, I was like, when they started doing the thing of how Texas started the thing where you can sue anyone who aids or abets a woman going to try to get an abortion for $10,000. I'm like, let's flip the switch. Let's flip the switch then. Let's sue the men. Why don't women start saying, look, yes, of course I said that I would have sex with him, but I did not give him permission to deposit his load into my account. Basically, that's not what I wanted to do. So I'm suing you for $10,000. How do you like me now? I mean, do they really want it to come to that?
Well, you know what? The best...
it's ridiculous.
To counter that, though, we can tie in with voter ID. Just women should ask for voter ID. And if it's a Democrat...
At the gates.
Yep.
At the
Democrat,
pussy gate.
Open it up. If it's a Republican, nope.
I'm going to need to see some voter ID before I can open my legs. I'm just kidding.
Sign this waiver.
One of the best ones.
Get it notarized.
They don't realize how fucked they are, though. It's like, don't piss off women. Like, we already have to deal with enough stuff. And I don't even have to deal with as much as some of the other ones, because some of the other ones have children and they have to deal with all this bullshit on top of it.
And for the single ladies out there, Snow gave me this advice: you swipe the opposite way of your political views.
Right.
Right. You ever been on a dating swipe? Swipe left, swipe right.
No, she's married.
Not actually.
She's married. She's
like,
Yeah, but she's young.
She's lucky she doesn't have to go out into that world. You're lucky that you're married.
It's a horror
that's
show
a
out there.
brutal.
Especially,
Foreign
can you
territory,
imagine
thankfully.
being single in
Oh
this
my
area?
God. And it's so gross,
I feel
too.
for the single people.
It's not just this area, though. There's a lot of Vegas guys that are just gross. Like, I'm not
Just in
talking
general,
like looks.
I feel bad for
Yeah, I'm not being like
singles.
superficial. I'm saying the stuff that they put on there is just gross. It's like gross. Yeah. They're like, no one's gonna be attracted to that. All right, and then it's like, I don't know what age you came from, sir, but like, we have rights now. And if you don't know that, then you haven't been paying attention to this last week. Right?
Yeah.
Women are pissed.
It's like, unfortunately, there's a lot of women that vote against their own interests sometimes too. But
Oh,
I-
yeah.
I think that this does show that like if the Republicans want to push the abortion topic, that it's not going to go well for them.
Well, so that guy's whole reasoning, the one that said somebody needs to marry these women and get them to vote the right way, is because, well, I said this in the 2016.
So many things wrong with that
No,
statement.
here's the
pick
thing,
apart.
though. Here's the thing. Like, maybe it's because of my age, because I'm a Gen Xer, but I've seen my own friends and I've seen women who are older than me. When the 2016 election happened, and after all the grab 'em by the pussy stuff and everything, and they were the political analysts were trying to figure out why would so many white suburban women vote for Donald Trump. I said it first. I go, because their husbands told them what to do, and they're the type of women that do what their husbands tell them to do.
Yeah, because
And that's what it is.
Thinking for themselves.
That
'Cause they did
generation-
what their parents told them to do, and now they do what their
Right.
husbands tell them to do because.
And
It's
that's
easier
why
than
that
thinking.
guy made the statement like,
Yeah.
somebody needs to marry these women, because he knows that too. Like, if you give women freedom, they're gonna make decisions that suit them. Like,
Yeah.
they are. They're gonna be like,
Sad that.
hey,
that
wait a
threatens
minute,
so
this
many
isn't.
people.
This doesn't sound like a very good deal to me. You know what? This sounds like a really good deal for you, but what about me? Like, I'm also a person here. Like, maybe it's because I've never been a person who's looked at like skin color or gender or sexual orientation, so I get it, but there's some people who don't. Like, they're okay with men telling them what to do.
I think
They're okay with the
everyone
way
needs to
things
get
have
out
been.
And, like, talk to different types of people aside
They
from
do.
just what's in their hometown and their small mind.
They need to
their-
travel. They need to
Yeah, I
make
think
friends,
That's what makes the
because
difference.
those things are great. You get to eat a bunch of
Exposure
different
to
delicious
different
foods.
things.
Right.
Try different drinks. Oh
It's
my
like,
god.
That's what got me to change my mindset. Like, I didn't have differing political views from my parents, who were like very conservative, until I was like my mid-20s. Now, honestly, I feel like social media was a big thing. Like, everyone talks shit on about social media, but I feel like, just like adding people on there and then seeing stuff that they'd post, and I'd think about it critically and be like, yeah, that's not something that I've thought about from that angle, but that makes sense. And then like looking into it more, and slowly over time, that's what shifted my mindset more left-leaning. Was just like, but the basis of that is you have to be someone that has critical thinking skills to begin with. If they don't,
I was
then-
just
then
gonna
it's
say that.
talking
Yeah.
to a brick
I was
wall.
gonna
But
say,
I think that
you're a
more
critical
people
thinker,
have
though.
critical
Yeah.
thinking skills than what you
We give them
want to
credit for.
assume. Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
It's-
I'm a whole lot more conservative than what I appear to be on this podcast. You know what I mean? But it's social issues that
Yeah.
make me a liberal.
I've always said this, being like the way that I was raised too. Like I was raised in a very strict religion. Not so much. I mean, like, not. I shouldn't say it like that. But I was raised in a religious family, and
me too.
Just the fact that, like, I consider myself an agnostic. Okay, but it is very. But this also falls into the political spectrum too. It's politics and religion, right? It is very hard for people in general to go against and to challenge themselves, and this is really the basis of critical thinking, everything that you've been taught.
Yeah.
It's a hard thing to do. It's hard because you were born and raised into a system that, whatever it is, like whether you were like born into Catholicism like I was, or if you were born into a super ultra Republican family, or whatever it is hard to go against what you've always been taught in your life because that was all you knew.
And it doesn't usually happen all at once. It happens a little
in order to even like, okay, take like racism too. There's been cases before where people who have been raised in the South in a Klan household, and they were raised like that, and then they get to a point in their life because they go against what they were taught. That's wrong.
Yeah.
Like they realize, they're like, oh my God, like there's been several cases of
because they
ex-Klan
meet people that challenge their preconceptions, that open their mind to like, oh well, I know a black person now and they're actually pretty cool, like,
the most important
like,
thing, the most important step to critical thinking, honestly, is having an open mind.
Yeah.
If you have a closed mind, learning how to at least open the door.
It's like maybe when you approach strangers that have different opinions, like instead of automatically assuming like, oh, well, they don't believe the same as me, I don't want to talk to them, like maybe assume from a default position that they are capable of critical thinking until they prove you otherwise. And then,
and my
then
thing,
at that point maybe like give up if they really prove that they're not, but like first assume the best in them and be hopeful,
right,
before just like shooting down any
and for the folks here, be nice to the people who don't look like you, because guess what, they have good food too. Like it's like I believe that like food is like the universal language that really can unite people. It's like and it's so simple, but it's like if you can learn to just do that. I mean, maybe that was supposed to be the point of Thanksgiving. I don't know.
Because that's like showing a stranger like a bit of kindness, like because you put a lot of yourself into cooking if you enjoy cooking. And so like to cook for someone is kind of a very like personal thing.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
And we all need food. We all need food to survive.
And for such a place that hates immigrants as this area, how come we have so many Mexican restaurants here?
I know. And one time a friend of mine and myself went after hiking to one of the delicious Mexican restaurants in town. And the table next to us, the guy is wearing his Make America Great hat in the restaurant. And I'm just like, you've got a lot of nerve. Why would you even bring that in there? I understand that you have your views, but why wear that in there when he said all the fucked up comments
that gives me
that he did?
Dude,
why would you do that?
Dude, that gives me a good message. You know your neighbor here? Your neighbor. And
Confederate flag seller?
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's go hang a Mexican flag on downtown on his business, because It's just heritage, not hate. And this place used to be Mexico.
Arizona used to be Mexico.
Yeah, this used to be Mexico.
Right?
So it's just heritage.
I know, right?
Like-
not hate.
It's like I'm not for stooping to other people's level,
Dude,
but
they
I am
moved
for
the border.
a good
They moved the
trolling.
border
Trolling
lower.
is fun.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
Like there's a joke about that though. They moved the border lower down
Yeah.
on the globe because it used to be part of Mexico.
Yeah.
All this region over here,
Right.
like
New
Like, so
Mexico.
when you say go back to where you came from, they should say the same thing. Go back to where you came from.
they right? Mexicans should start saying "go back to where you came from," meaning like friggin'
Yeah.
Europe.
And
Of course, I mean, I was born here, though, so-
that should be their response.
Like-
This is where I came from. You moved the border.
Right.
Some of my husband's family are Mexican, but not technically. They've lived in New Mexico since before New Mexico was a U.S. territory, since like back
Right.
when it was Mexico.
I know, and they even called
They've
it
always
New
just lived
Mexico.
there, so it's
I
like
know.
they're technically Mexican.
You
but
would
not.
think that would have been a clue to some of the folks nowadays. Like, they even named a state New Mexico. Like, hello.
And make America great again. Well, why don't we just go back to like the because like with the abortion law, they want to make it from the 1800s, go
Yeah.
back to that law. Well, let's go back to make America great again into the 1800s and just give Mexico back their land.
That's
We,
the
we,
thing.
we just solved the immigration issue on this podcast.
We solved so many issues
It's
today.
like the
As usual.
great again. Nobody really knows what again means. It's
We
such,
know.
it's such an intangible
It's a
concept.
no, it's a
that
dog whistle.
It's personal to every individual. They form an opinion in their brain about when the best times of their childhood was.
Well, and I
So
think we can
that's-
all agree with
they-
it.
They,
I
feed on the
no,
nostalgia
no, they know
aspect
what they mean, and we know what they
and
mean.
nostalgia
They mean it's the
is good
1950s.
marketing.
Okay.
The women stayed home and did their job.
Okay,
at home.
I have a comment though about the 1950s, all right? So, okay. Let me just reach out right now.
There was
When they
different
say-
water fountains.
When they say make America great again, and they mean the 1950s when there was segregation going on, especially in the schools. The people who run things right now during this whole make America great again are baby boomers. You guys were literally fucking children during the
That's why
1950s.
that's
How no?
but
But how did they
psychologically,
know
that's
what?
why it resonates with them.
How did
because
they know what was really happening? Like,
they
for
don't.
instance,
It's all based on emotion, and their emotional response
But-
is childhood was their best times of life, and so they get sentimental.
no. I know, but you're
Think
you're
that-
getting like you're speaking like too smart on that. Honestly,
It's psychology.
It's like
psychology is
Yeah, but
everything,
psychology
basis
doesn't
in
mean anything to them.
everything.
here's the thing though. They were like, take my parents for instance. They are both baby boomers. My dad was born in 1950, the year 1950. My mom was born in 1954. They don't subscribe to the Make America Great. I have a normal family, thank God. But Make America Great, what do they really remember about the 50s when they were born, when I just told you when they were born? That's
Leave it
what
to Beaver.
baffles me. That's what baffles me about these people. I'm like,
It's
But they're-
so vague
but
that
they sit there-
they input whatever
But they're sitting
they
there
feel
making
was the
fun of-
best times of their childhood.
But they were,
But here's the thing.
they were
There-
told
no,
they were the greatest
listen,
generation. They
listen.
grew up being
No,
told they were the greatest generation.
The greatest generation was their parents. It was their parents. The greatest generation was they're
Yeah,
called the
that's
greatest
technically
generation
the
because
World
of the
War
Great
II
Great
veterans
Depression.
and
They
the
lived through the Great
Depression.
Depression. The boomers weren't born during the Great Depression yet. So no, what I'm saying is they don't have a leg to stand on. They're sitting there going off. They are fucking yelling at the younger generations for all the technology, but they are living through technology because they're going off of fucking TV shows, which was Leave It to Beaver. Fuck them. They're doing the same thing that they're yelling at the younger people for.
Yeah, well,
fuck them.
Yeah, but then they
every generation basically.
Then our generation grew up on
tends to
Happy
look down on-
Days, which just took place in the 50s, so they relate to Happy Days as the 1950s.
All I'm
'Cause that was
saying
the
is,
happy.
this is another thing, like, technology is going to happen, whether people like it or not. We evolve as people. Progressivism is something that is in our DNA. We have to learn how to move forward because it's also part of survival.
Yeah, and
So they need to quit being afraid of all this stuff.
That's always been a thing. Like during the Industrial Revolution,
Yes!
there were people that didn't
You
like the
can't-
idea of
Like I am an extreme
machines.
pro-union person. I am a teamster. But the one thing that also is a falter for unions is automation. Because it fucking happens. Technology, you can't stop technology.
It's going to be a disadvantage before it becomes an asset, and that's kind of the weird gray area we're in. That
It's both. It's always going to be both. It's going to be a disadvantage and it's going to be an advantage, and people have to accept it. We are going to have technology. We have to,
it'll be a
because
disadvantage first.
technology is something that helps move us forward.
Yeah.
So this is why I'm sorry, but Ted Kaczynski, you may have been a genius, but you are also wrong. You're just wrong. You got mad because the world was moving too fast for you.
yeah,
That's what it is.
Yeah.
They're getting mad
But is he
because
wrong?
the world is moving too
because
fast.
is he wrong though? Because the machines are taking over, and it's going to be the Terminator.
No, he's wrong and he's right. No, technology is a very complicated thing. I don't like technology. I don't understand a lot of it. And I am for the worker. I'm always for the worker. And guess what? Technology puts workers out of work. It does, but you also need it to also progress.
Yeah.
So it's a mind fuck. Technology is a mind fuck.
the good
I
with the bad.
understand Ted Kaczynski's issues, but I also understand you can't fucking kill people over it, you asshole, you psychopath. But he was sick. But
Yeah.
I mean, we have to have technology. It's also part of our survival.
It's going to be a downfall.
It's both. It sucks and it doesn't.
Everything has, the dichotomy of good and bad. It has just as much potential to create good as bad.
Well, God and the devil,
Kind of
good
just
and
have
evil.
to take the, trade-offs of those things, because change, you're not ever going to stop change from happening.
Nope.
Well, that's like as much as we all hate hypocrisy.
You have to just
That's also
adapt.
a natural thing because it's like there is the both sides thing. I mean,
Adaptation is more important, like the most important aspect of survival.
Right, you have to
As
learn
said
how
by
to
Darwin.
adapt.
Right.
You
right.
do. No, you do. You have to be adaptable.
And that's the problem with artificial
Exactly.
intelligence is eventually these computers are going to get so smart that they're going to realize that we're going to need to pull the plug, but they're going to try to outsmart us. Like, you fucking make this Terminator joke, but it's going to be true.
There's no, okay, I don't believe that
I'm kidding
part.
here, but
I don't believe that part because, like, I
think we'll all
I've
nuke each
heard
other
people
before it gets to
seriously
that point.
argue that point. I have heard people seriously argue that point. They think that robots literally are going to wipe out the human race. I'm like, then who's going to run them? They can't. Here's the thing, technology can't become human, though. There's no possible way for it to.
It's okay. We'll.
If you're a believer in
before it
science,
comes to
it
have you
can't.
have you watched have you gone back have you gone back and watched The Matrix though? Like within the last 6 years or so?
No, but
It's scary as fuck to watch it now.
I'm never going to believe that a machine can become human. I'm never going to believe
Yeah,
that.
but the machine won't become human, but the machine can outsmart us.
I'm not saying it can't outsmart us.
This is where I'm trying to take over for Joe Rogan. Go with it.
If a machine outsmarts us, it's going to have no human to fix it when it fails.
Then you have another robot that knows how to fix it.
It's not gonna... What if there was a Y2K that happened and there's no people? Dead.
Well,
dead.
That's how Terminator
Fucking
happened.
dead.
You set off the nuclear fucking bomb that
Exactly.
that wipes out all the fucking microchips and we're all fucked.
We're gonna nuke each other before we
Then
ever
Linda Hamilton will save us all.
any fear of the robots.
Then
taking over.
Sarah Connor will
speaking,
save us all.
Speaking of Joe Rogan, we have just officially surpassed our longest podcast ever.
Oh, damn.
Even surpassed Jean Morgan, which was our longest
Oh
one.
my god,
What?
that was the longest
That was the
ever.
longest. Now this one's longer.
Really?
This one is
This
like...
one didn't feel longer.
This one is like waiting for the election results to come in. Just very slow and long.
Well, at least we passed the time by. Where are we doing at the election results?
We're still at 93%.
Okay.
But
I was hoping-
Jevin Hodge fell behind in his race.
Who?
Congressman from Phoenix.
That's not good.
No. Take the good with the bad, and it's not like the Facts of Life song. You take the good, take the
You
bad.
take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and there you have the facts of life. Don't even get me started. I know the whole song.
This has been
I
a
know the whole song.
long fucking week.
There's a time you gotta go and show you grow, and now you know.
And
Did you see the
and the
time that
and the Facts of Life? We all have to work together.
Who was it? The Roots that played it like rock style on Dave Chappelle's show when he still had his show, and he would do the Facts of Life, and he would do different strokes too, and he'd have them play the. Was it
I know
the
what you're talking.
Roots?
Yeah. The
It was badass.
Jimmy Fallon's house band, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Fuck God, we get punch go better. Fucking end this fucking soon.
Right.
All right. Fuck. On that note, thanks, Kat, for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Being on the podcast, and regardless of what the results are, be proud of yourself and what you've done.
Thank you for getting new registered voters. No matter what they decide to vote later on down the line, I'm glad that you got new people to register to vote. That's the most important thing, because we live in a democracy, and democracy did actually win in this election.
Democracy did win
Democracy
in the
prevailed.
end.
We need to have the right to vote.
Yeah. Yes. And, and just let the what's going to happen to GOP happen, because now it's going to be Trump versus DeSantis, and they're just going to destroy each other. It's going to be like King Kong Godzilla.
Welcome to the
They're
shit
just going to
show.
just fucking wipe everything out on their own.
Oh, is that what's going on with that whole deal?
It will be.
It will be entertaining,
It will be.
but you know what? I'll be glad when election's over, so we can get back to
Yeah.
less stressful topics,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we can have like fun stuff.
Yeah, next
Fun.
next week we have our annual awards show.
Yeah,
And
that'll
then-
be fun.
And then after that, I think we're just going to get away from this political bullshit for a while.
Yeah, we can do like
Focus on our mental health.
Well,
But
No, that's true.
But I am gonna research on gerrymandering.
Right, yeah.
Like that is super important.
No, we're always going to touch on important issues.
I do
It's
want
what we
to try
do.
that.
I have
That's-
pretty good mental resilience for dealing with depressing shit, so I'm like,
Then you're
more
gonna
so
have to,
than other people.
Then you're
so
gonna have to come
that's
back
why
on and
Right.
give us some
I'm kinda
helpful
throwing
hints.
myself into this depressing shit.
You're gonna have to come back on then and help us discuss about ways to deal with
Yeah. And that's...
depression,
Mental health.
anxiety,
Yeah, and-
mental health, good ways to deal with,
Right. And one of
productive ways.
one of-
to
one
deal
of-
with stuff like
Cynical optimism.
Yeah.
That's my mantra.
and
There you go.
another one is
Whatever humor.
Another one is humor, and the one thing that we always
Yes,
talk
humor and
about on this podcast, and
self-deprecation.
we eat our own on this, is crap like the people giving Dave Chappelle shit for what he said last night on Saturday Night Live, which was hilarious, and people don't like it because he just made fun of both sides.
What did they get mad about? I'm not on social media.
Well,
Everyone should laugh at themselves.
NPR wrote an article saying that it just wasn't funny because of all the Jewish stuff he was saying, even though he was really making fun of Kanye.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening here anymore. I don't know if, like, the left has become so politically correct that they're not... That some of them are not... I should say that that some of the left has become so politically correct, because I have a lot of funny friends still. But it's like, dude, do you guys not fucking understand jokes no more?
Yeah.
You're not, like...
It would be
You're
nice
not...
if
Hey,
people
guess
could
what?
Suspend.
You can, like, accept anyone, but if you're going to be a stupid asshole that's going to be super political correct, you're not going to get invited to the barbecues either, so you're not going to enjoy the food.
Yeah.
It's
Like,
those
God.
people are equally unfun as, like, the
Yeah, they're just
crazy
as bad.
racist
You guys are
people.
being just as bad as the Looney Tunes.
Yeah. It's like,
When you act like that.
Yeah, so there's people on both sides.
I wish I was just I was just thinking about, have you seen that chart that shows like the spectrum of like, you know, like authoritarian left, authoritarian right, libertarian left, libertarian right, and like where, you know, people fall politically? I feel like it would be neat to map out like what politicians that are currently running, where they fall on that, because I
Right.
always feel like politics is more of a spectrum than a
Right.
dichotomy.
Well,
Politics
I
is like autism.
I did that chart, and I felt almost dead center in the middle,
Yeah.
but just a hair to the left.
But I feel like it would be beneficial to have a visual for people to help them vote more along their personal preferences, if they could see where the politicians that are running fall within that chart, within a spectrum, instead of just they have an R behind their name, they have a D.
Couldn't you do that
behind
test
their
though?
name.
Because when you're doing that test, you go through each issue. How do you feel and how
Yeah.
important this? Can't you just go in there and go research the politician and go, well, this is where they believe
Yeah,
in here
I'm
and
sure
here.
you could. But
And-
it would be cool if somebody took the time and effort to just do that for all these politicians.
You know, I'm
and then,
sure it was-
come up with a spreadsheet of visuals.
I'm sure
for
somebody
people.
that has a lot more time on their
I
hands than
know.
we do has done that.
I need if they haven't, they should. I don't want to, because that sounds like a lot of work. But somebody should.
I'm
do
sure
that.
the Terminator machines are already on that, where they already analyze the data and they put them on that chart. That would be interesting.
That should be like a thing, though. That should be, publicized.
Well, they sort of do, because there is a chart or one of those websites that does that where.
I've seen where it has,
you have that
like,
grid and you have the bullseye in the middle and where
Yeah.
you fall. But they
I've
also
seen
they
it
also
done with
have
popular
but
politicians
they
through
also
history.
back when there was like 16 Democratic candidates, you had the same flow of where do you fall on this issue, how important is it, a scale of 1 to 5, least important, more important. And at the end of it, it tells you who you should vote for based on your beliefs. Because Snow and I both did it in 2016, and she, of course, got Bernie Sanders, and I got Hillary Clinton.
You were so
They
mad.
should just have like
Yeah, I was like, I get Hillary. Ew.
like in
But no, but that-
And
that's
I was
kind
like,
of.
you're not a true Bernie.
So you know that
Supporter.
thing that you get in the mail, the ballot, whatever, voter ballot information packet dealy. Like, what if they just put the graphs of, and then each one of the politicians that's listed on there has a visual of where they fall on the graph. Because people are
Well,
so
that's
visual
that's
and they
an
don't
intro.
tend to like to read.
Do you know how much time that would take to do though? But it
That's
could
why I'm
it could
saying
be done.
someone should do it, just not me, because that's a lot of work. But someone. I should contact whoever's in charge of that.
Oh yeah.
Mojave County
No,
Elections Director.
No, not them.
Alan, or no, who would that be?
I don't know.
I'm going to write that in my list of things I want to do.
We can do that. Oh yeah, you could just send out mailers on,
Like, if I still had that book, which I don't because I threw it away, it would probably say on there.
Too bad we didn't have
who
that.
wrote it.
Too bad we didn't have that in 2016 because almost all the sane Republicans probably would have voted for John Kasich and not Donald Trump.
Yeah,
But-
I actually like John Kasich.
I'm just
out
saying,
of of that side,
People
like,
tend to be very visual and they don't like to read. So if they had a visual of a graph with, little bullet
Who should I?
points,
But who should I vote for? They
like
have
where
that.
do they fall politically?
Oh yeah, but they don't like to read, so they don't like to go through the 20 questions that you
Yeah,
have to go
exactly.
to. Do you strongly agree or less
That's
agree on
why.
this?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because like half of everyone has ADHD now, so
yeah,
it's like just make it simple.
yeah. Maybe someday we'll
Yes.
get there. Progress.
Yes.
Right. And hey,
part of
we
the
did
progress.
make progress because this was supposed to be a red wave, and it turned into a ripple.
Yeah.
And we only have a few more races left.
It was more
Yeah.
like just like a period. It was like, it wasn't really a red wave. It was just like a period. That's... Oh, sorry. Bad of me.
Fitting.
I know, right? Well, it is kind of fitting. Aren't they like against all the abortions and everything?
Right, but it's not going to be like, well, now they're going to take away contraceptives, because if the Republicans are smart, they're going to drop this issue of trying to take away contraceptives and everything else that they want to do, and realize that most Americans don't want that. Most Americans want free elections, and hopefully the lesson to be learned from these midterms is going to be to get the Republicans. How are you going to win over your voters and win an election again? It's not by cheating, not by fixing elections. It's going to be relating to the voters.
Giving the people something that they want and need.
Yeah, and having
We're not trying
And-
to
Quit
take away
playing
their
and-
rights.
into the
to the GOP,
corporations.
to Kevin McCarthy. If you're hearing this, Kevin, have
Get rid of the
a plan.
MTGs.
Have a plan. Just don't say Democrats suck. Have a plan. How are you going to fix these issues?
How are you going to be like not sucking? If you think that Democrats suck, how are you going to not suck? Huh? Think about it.
Fuck. Tomorrow I'm going to get a fucking phone call from Kevin McCarthy and Paul Gosar saying, come up with a plan, Mike.
Oh, I hope it's MTG.
Welcome to the dark side.
Well,
I hope
you're not the
MTG
one running
calls
for
you.
political office, so it's like they are. So
I
they're
think
the
you're
ones
going to get a
that
phone
should
call
have a
from
plan.
MTG.
All right. On that note, and we'll fucking end this one.
And Bobert.
And Bobert. Have fun with your OnlyFans.
Right?
No, we have to take that back.
I wish we didn't, but we do.
Lauren, we did not mean that. We apologize.
I don't. I apologize.
I apologize on behalf of the RN podcast network. We don't mean that. We're extending an olive branch to the Republican Party on this.
An olive branch.
All right, on that note, we're going to fucking end this shit. We'll probably pop up and do another quick one once we know how the Kari Lake
Once we have the final
is-
results.
results.
And Mays, Chris Mays, and what's his face?
Yes.
Oh,
And then,
right.
And then the Turkey Awards coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, thanks, Kat, and we will wrap this up, and we
Yeah,
will talk
thank
to you
you, Kat.
soon.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.